So, with many other exhortations, he proclaimed the good news to the people. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Christ.
As we gather this day, we face some difficulty as Christians, are we not? The events of Newtown give us a cold, harsh reminder that the world in which we live is still an extremely dangerous place. If you think this morning that I'm going to be able to tell you why such things happen, you will be grossly disappointed. God's movement in the midst of this kind of horrible event is certain, but sometimes difficult to apply rationality to make sense. Friday, I arrived in Lexington, Kentucky in preparation for the ordination of their new bishop yesterday. Went to my room, Susie and I together, began to change our clothes to get ready for the evening's festivities, and turned on the television. We were shocked at what we heard. Crushed. The emotions are just too many to numb. See this event unfold electronically before us, and then go to a celebration. Now, I have to admit to you, I was raised in a rather traditional family where Advent is taken rather seriously. So, before I say anything else, we have to know that's my background. I think Advent makes sense. But when we left the room, the hotel was filled with Christmas music everywhere. Actually, Christmas music. Absolute worst versions of all your favorite Christmas songs. The elevator reached the first floor. I looked out the panoramic windows, and all I could see were Christmas decorations. A world that went on celebrating without knowing what it was celebrating, in the midst of absolute tragedy. I was angry. How could this be? We spent the rest of the evening in those sort of festive gatherings that you have when missions are ordained. Some of you may remember we had that here not too long ago. And of course we did what all Christians did. We said a prayer for those who had lost their lives and went about our business. I don't mean to demean the celebratory nature of the coronation of the bishop. But what bothers me about these events, which are becoming more and more numerous, is that we take them as normal and go on with business as usual. John the Baptist, standing on the banks of the Jordan, is not going to make any friends today. When you begin by addressing your crowd as a brood of vipers, your recruiting skills are minimal. John lays before the people the reality of the world in which they live. And they get his message clearly. Their response is, what then can we do? My hope throughout this diocese, throughout this Episcopal Church of ours, is that that phrase We have submerged our culture into a culture that is characterized by violence. It's not just about guns. I have a good friend who's the priest at St. Anna's Parish in New Orleans. After 9/11, St. Anna's put up a board outside the church that listed every murder in the city of New Orleans every day and how those murders occurred. As many people died by knives as by guns. See, the problem is not weapons. The problem is the culture of violence. Think about it for a minute. Think how we become anesthetized to violence in all kinds of ways. I'm not picking on any one media or medium. You and I are exposed to more violence in an ordinary day by watching television than people 100 years ago experienced in their entire lifetime. We are becoming anesthetized. We bow our heads for a moment, and then we go on. Advent is meant to be these 4 weeks, which come in the middle of a culture gone wild about celebrating, are a chance to step back and see who it is that God is calling us to become. To model a lifestyle to the world around us that does not represent those values and values. John addresses 3 groups in today's reading. Those who are affluent. Trust me, in those days, having 2 coats meant you were affluent. Those who had power of politics, and those who had the power of violence, the soldiers. He tells them to do the same things my mother would have told me to do. Share, to be kind, and to do no harm to anyone. If you read that baptismal covenant that you and I recite with some regularity, perhaps too much frequency because we've become too accustomed to just rattling off the answers. If you read those last 5 questions, they talk about a lifestyle that does exactly what needs to be done. Community, fellowship, respect, acknowledgement of our own contribution to systems, economic, personal, powerful, violent. Something is wrong in our culture. The solution is not in the long run in the legislative process. The solution is in the hearts and the minds of people like you and I. Normal, ordinary people who have to understand that the kingdom has not yet come. As wonderful as it is to live in the 21st century America, it does not represent the coming of Christ's kingdom. That's why we have Advent every year. Not to get ready for Christmas, but to be reminded that there is far yet to go. That God is calling us forward. Advent is the season of expectation. I suspect new sermons. Those of you who've been at Episcopalians for a long time, you've heard that for a long time. I'm always amazed that for the most part, when we talk about expectation, we think about outwards. Advent is meant to cause us to step back and think about God's expectations of us. What kind of people does He expect us to be? Again, you hear it in today's gospel reading. John reminds them that their measure is not their membership in the household of God. As the people of Abraham, their measure is what they produce, their fruitfulness. And so as we move on, as we will, to the fourth Sunday of Advent, and then finally to the Christmas event, my prayer is that we will not forget the moment of new time. That it will not disappear as it falls through the new sun. That it will become a part of each one of us. That we will carry that event, those children, those adults, that young man in our hearts. And that we will allow God's expectations of us to transform all that was horrible, all that was despicable about that moment into His living presence in the midst of His people. Once again, God is reminding us that we are the instruments that He has chosen to carry that message to a world that is broken and torn and in serious, deep pain. So continue to pray as the coming days unfold and we find ways to grapple with the meaning, the place of this event, not just in my life, but in the life of the whole people, the culture. And as the children of God, let us model a way of living that says something much different. A way, again, to quote the baptismal covenant, that respects the dignity of every human being in every aspect of our own lives. This is a time for the church to pray. And so I hope that you will join with me and take a moment each and every day as we move towards the Christmas event to pray about this moment in your place in it. Because you are in it. It's not something that just happened in Connecticut, it happened to us. Pray that God will guide us, God will lead us, because that's the promise. We very much want the words of today's call to come true. Stir up your power, O Lord, and with great might come among us. That power, because of the coming of Jesus the first time, has been left to us. If God will come in might, then we must exercise the power of transformation that He has given to us, His people. That's also my prayer that we will do that as we move towards the Christmas event. So I invite you to pray with me each day. I will. I hope you will. God will guide us. God will lead us.